5 minutes of helping a colleague equals cookies and a thank you note. A colleague of mine that works in finance downloaded a comma-separated values CSV file from a bank and opened it in Excel as she always does. Said file was basically all the transactions for a particular month. What happened is it only showed about a third of the data that was expected in the Excel file. It would get to a particular cell and that would be the end of the data in Excel, although she could see on the webpage that there was lots more transactions. All other months were fine, just this one file for that one particular month. So she calls our internal help desk. They take a look and say it must be something wrong with the bank or the file and suggested they contact the bank. She contacts her bank via phone. They say they don't know what to do, but to contact the business banking team via email. She contacts the business banking team via email. They say they can't assist with this, but to contact the bank's internal IT help desk. She contacts the bank's internal IT help desk, who say they only assist bank employees and not the public, and suggested she calls our own internal help desk. Eventually she messages me on Teams and says although she knows this isn't what I look at, she has spent 2 hours contacting various teams and no one will assist. I head over to her desk to take a look and notice where the data discrepancy between the website and CSV file is. There is a single quotation mark, i.e. one of the fields has a single quotation mark in it. With the CSV file, if you want to have something literal in there, like a comma, you need to put a quotation mark at the beginning and end of something, such as. Opening the file in Notepad, I could see that all the data after the quotation mark was not showing in Excel, and in the entire CSV file there was only the single quotation mark. All the data was in the CSV file. So removed the quotation mark and saved the file. I then opened it in Excel and all the data was showing as expected. So it seems with Excel, if you have a CSV with a single quotation mark and no second quotation mark to delimit it, it will just ignore all data after the quotation mark. I explained this to my colleagues, who is just ecstatic that this is working now and understands what is going on. The next morning, when I come into the office, on my desk is a big basket of freshly baked cookies and a handwritten note. The note explains how without me working out what was wrong, she would have had to spend several hours copying and pasting, field by field, for hundreds of lines from the website to Excel. Blank monitor equals that he blocked the switch by user unicycle loser. TLDR, half of my job would go away if people read the messages they got on their screens. Over the past few months, we've been slowly building up one of our field offices as they've been hiring people, which means sending out the occasional new workstation / monitors, etc. for new users to log into. They get the PC, plug it into the switch on site and go. Pretty standard and no issues up until this one. One day a ticket comes into the help desk from the office admin out there that says, can we please unblock port X on the switch so the new guy can access the internet? Immediately I raise an eyebrow because we don't block the internet on any of our switch ports at any other sites, and it wouldn't make any sense for just this one port not to work when we've been sending them new machines for weeks now. So I grab the ticket and do a bit of investigative work by opening up our remote access software, where I can see the PC clearly showing as online, as well as logging into the firewall and seeing the PC connected to the switch port in question. I responded back to the ticket saying things looked okay from my end, but figured I might be looking at the wrong PC and asked her to confirm the name of the machine. We stick a label with the PC name on every PC we send out. Crickets. 5 minutes later, the foreman for the site calls my coworker annoyed, saying, you guys need to fix this. This guy is just sitting here unable to do any work. And moments after that, the user himself sends in a ticket with the same description as above. Please unblock port X on the switch. So now I am getting annoyed, and after finally tracking down a phone number that everyone neglected to give us, I give the guy a call. I confirmed the PC name with him, remoted into the machine, and then saw the Windows login screen. I thought, oh, he must just not be entering his password correctly. I guess I could see why they thought it was the internet, so I asked him to try entering his password again to see what would happen. He says he doesn't see anything, just a blank monitor that has the word English on it. And then it clicked. We have been sending them newer Dell monitors that, when you first plug them in, you just have to use one of the physical buttons on the monitor to, select your language, as instructed on the screen itself. He reads the message, presses the button it tells him to, and whoa, everything works. Go figure. Now, like a lot of you, I am sure that when someone describes an issue like the internet doesn't work, you run down the mental checklist of other stuff that might actually be going on that they lack the tech literacy to describe, but this was a whole other level that I wasn't prepared for. How you get from a blank monitor to the firewall port is blocked is such a baffling big stretch that I am still not quite sure how they arrived there. Don't want to pay £50 for casters. Okay. How about £300 plus lost production time? By user new assumption minus 3,106. This is back in the day, but when we quoted for structured cabling installations, we itemized the rack contents. So it would be 42 U-rack plus 4 shells plus patch panels plus cable management bars and so on. The last item would be heavy-duty casters. This would be for a rack in an office or production environment, not in a climate-controlled server room, and you might need to move it a bit to get access behind to feed in more cable or services, or just for whatever. This client didn't like the idea of £50 for casters, so he approved the whole £30,000 project quote, but he struck off the casters. I strongly advised against this, but the project went ahead with fixed feet on the rack. A couple of months later, guess what? They needed to move the rack a few feet to get some electrical work done. That's fine. We can do that. We'll just have to shut the network down, remove all the equipment from the rack, lay it on its side, change the fixed feet for casters, upright it, reinstall the kit, and off you go. He saw the irony. I stopped itemizing rack components. Just another day in IT land. By user main quote 3604. I work in IT support, which basically means I'm a mix of tech therapist, cable wrangler, and general panic button for anything with a power button. Today was a special flavor of chaos. Morning kicks off with a manager emailing me to say the conference room mic is making echo and demanding a new one with noise cancellation. No questions, no troubleshooting, just a royal decree. Sure, let me just requisition and ask a grade mic from the void. Next up, someone asks me to disconnect her monitor and printer because she is getting a new desk. Unplug everything, move it out. 2 minutes later, she calls me back, turns out the desk is still isn't even happening today. So now I'm a reverse moving service. HR/admin manager misses a call from a top exec and blames it on her desk phone not ringing. Turns out that she spent most of the time in the lounge area. She's now convinced it is a hardware fault because of course she is. And the best part, CTO calls in saying emails aren't going out and it is probably something serious. I remote in, check Outlook, and he has got one giant email stuck in his outbox. I delete it and suddenly everything else sends just fine. Mystery of the century solved. I'm not saying I am a miracle worker, but at this point I feel like an unpaid magician. The foot pedal. I used to be a tech support representative long ago, right around the time when it was a major concern for a lot of people. You would have thought it was the end of the world, honestly. Anyway, I was supporting the customers of a particular computer company when I got this call. Thank you for calling computer company tech support. My name is... And so the intro goes. I get the customer's name and his computer's information and ask how I can be of service. This was his response. Customer, hello? I got the television, the typewriter, and the box it all plugs into. But what's this here foot pedal for? I was stumped. Foot pedal? Sir, could you please hold a moment? I'd like to look this up if I could. Customer, really nice guy, honestly, well, sure. I don't mind. I put him on hold, began thinking. What was going on there? Television? Typewriter? Box? Foot pedal, Lord forgive me. It was at that moment when I threw my hand over my mouth and started giggling uncontrollably. I realized what he was talking about. After taking a moment to calm down, I composed myself, took a deep breath, and brought the customer back from hold. Sir, that isn't a foot pedal. That is your mouse. It moves the arrow around on the screen so you can click the little buttons on top of it to open programs. Then I referred him to a community college course in his area so he could take a basic computer literacy course. Sometimes, all people need is a nudge in the right direction.